Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. And this video is going to be another practice session for the RHCSA exam. And I'm going to be covering the topic of, make sure I read it correctly, within the Understand and Use Essential Tools section, use grep and regular expressions to analyze text. So like all of these other videos, this isn't necessarily intended to be authoritative information on the subject as much as this is just me showing how I would practice something. Maybe that will give you an idea of methods of practice, and also if things go wrong, I'll troubleshoot the issue, and hopefully that'll show you some methods of troubleshooting. Before I dive in, I want to remind you, if you do enjoy this content, like the video, also subscribe to the channel and ring the bell when you do, so you are aware of when new content is made available. So I have my console here. Actually going to move this over to the side. I'm waiting for chat window to pop up. So within activities, I'm going to go into the terminal, go and maximize this, and I'm actually going to do sudo-i so I can be logged in as root, because we're going to be using stuff in var log, and root will have reading access to everything that's in there. So var log. And we're going to look at messages for a bit. And sometimes things like regular expressions, it can be a little tough um, to just come up with something to practice with. And so what I'll sometimes do, I'm going to do tail messages. This gives me a little snippet of what's in the messages log, and I can look at this and see kind of how things are structured, such as the date here. Three characters for the month, space, a day, and then time using hour, minute, second. And you can use that for examples of how to search for particular things. For example, if I were to do grep, and this is grep working with regular expressions, and one common regular expression is the caret that's outside of brackets. And what this tells us is return strings, or rather return something that matches the beginning of a line with this string. So for example, if I were to do APR and then messages, this is going to return a ton of things. Basically, it's going to return everything in that file, because every line in that particular messages file is going to have APR for April in it. Regular expressions themselves, I mean, it sometimes feels like you can spend a career just mastering regular expressions. I'm not a master of it by any means. I know a few, and regular expressions, I kind of liken that to using VI. I know enough about VI to do what I need to do, but I'm not a master in its use. I simply, I know how to save quickly. I know how to do some searching. I know how to run a shell command from within VI. I know how to um, get output from shell commands and paste them into VI if I need, but I don't know everything there is to know about it. And the same with the regular expressions. And I believe for the exam, of course, I wouldn't know this officially because I'm not an exam writer, and even if I were, I probably would be under NDAs and such to not discuss exactly what you have to do on the exam. But what I imagine for this exam is showing some just kind of basic knowledge of regular expressions rather than looking for pure mastery with it. So one of the common ones, like I said, is that caret sign that shows what, or rather, will return things that match the beginning of the string. For example, if I were to do clear, if I do grep, and then beginning with foo and messages, that's not going to return anything because there are no lines in messages that begin with foo. What you can do, and this is a little thing with grep, if you were to do grep -v, and then we'll do foo again, messages, that returns a ton of things. because what we're doing is return the inverse. So there is nothing that begins with foo, but there is everything that doesn't begin with foo, and that's what was being returned. So the dash V flag can be useful for you. Um, there are some more like advanced regular expressions that might require the use of dash E, and dash E can also be useful in the fact you can use multiple dash E's. So if you want to search for multiple things or at once, you can do that. One thing to understand, or at least just from my experience working with this, is that this does not do like and or syntax, such as, let me use, let's see, clear my screen, ls. So this messages file here will have some more historical data in it. So if I were to grep, I want everything that was April 2nd. So I'll do my, I don't have to do dash E, but for this example I will, APR space 2, because I know that just knowing the syntax of this, if you have a single digit day, there'll be 2 spaces after the month. So I'll do messages and that full file. All right, so that's going to return everything that begins with APR2. Or scroll up, it's going to be a ton of lines. Probably past the, nope, doesn't go quite past the buffer. All right, so everything is April 2. All right, well, we have some stuff with DNF and stuff with system D. What you can do is grep-e. I want lines that begin with APR2 and lines that have DNF in them. All right, and then messages, and then the rest of the file name. We'll see what's returned here. This is curious. We have April 11th in DNF. We have, let's scroll up here, a bunch of April 2s, and DNF is not in there. And then we have April 2 and DNF. Well, what's happening here is grep is giving us lines that begin with April 2, lines that have DNF, and then lines that would have both April 2 and DNF. There's no like, and or going on. It's just whatever patterns you're feeding it, it's going to give you things that match. So if you wanted to drill this down, what you would then do is use grep. I want things that begin with the April 2nd. Messages, and then pipe that again to grep and DNF. Oh, I was expecting that to give us some results. So let's see what happens here. So grep, see April 2 messages. I see what the problem is. I need 2 spaces because literally there is nothing that is, and notice this April 4 here. That's what the problem was there. All right, so now if I were to pipe that to grep DNF, now I have lines that begin in April 2nd and use DNF. Now, some of you watching this might be going, hey, use journal CTL and get this information. This is probably a better way to do it. True, but the focus of this exercise is using grep and using a regular expression. Another regular expression would be using the $sign. That's one that I've used before. Let me clear my screen. And let's cat the, let's see, what might have some common things at the end. So cat, let's look at secure. All right. So let's see if we can find all lines that are ending in UID equals 0. So that little pattern there. So I will do grep, then UID equals 0. dollar sign. Dollar sign tells us the line is going to end with this, and secure. Make sure I spell grep correctly. And there we go. Now, let's say that I think there's one. We have a dmessage log here. Kind of surprised. I would expect to see that with dmessage. Let's look at dmessage real quick. There we go. Okay, so let's say that we get the output from dmessage. I want to grep that, and part of what I'm grepping is I want to include that bracket. So the bracket I'm talking about is right here. All right, so if I were to, let's say that I want to see lines that begin with that the bracket space 2406. So do my quotes, caret, bracket 2406, end quote, and all right, so we get an error with grep. All right, and the reason is this bracket is looking for its mate because regular expressions will use brackets, such as if I wanted to do dmessage, pipe that to grep, and I want to match the following letters: H, anything, any H, any D, any A. I would do that, and we see what's happening there. So that bracket is expecting a an end. So what we have to do is use the backslash, which is an escape character. And so what that is doing is basically escaping the bracket. It's telling grep that, hey, this bracket is not functioning as the bracket. Rather, this is a character bracket that we need to be evaluating. So if I were to do that, then we have our line. So I think one of the big takeaways with regular expressions with this, again, I may be wrong. I might get to parts of the exam where it wants me to do some crazy thing with regular expressions, and I might do poorly because I don't know a ton of different ones, or at least have them memorized. But I think some of the things that it's wanting you to know is you can do multiple regular expressions using -e. It's wanting you to be able, because it's like use regular expressions to analyze grep data. Well, you can have that grep data, pipe it to another grep, and just keep funneling the data down. I would imagine it wants you to know about how to use escape. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Yes. All right. So regex might not be exactly what I'm looking for here, but I'm pretty sure there are going to be some man pages that might talk about regular expressions with bash. Let's just try this real quick. Do one more, man bash. All right, so this gives us possibly some information to use in the exam about regular expressions. I'm just doing a cursory check of man bash. But at the very least, this is some example of what to do with using -e, also doing some funneling down of working with regular expressions. So hopefully this practice session might give you some ideas on how to practice it yourself. Again, if you found it useful, make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you the next time.